Welcome back to RGR, folks. It's another week, so we have to check in with Matt Derrick, or I just wouldn't know what's going on. How are you, Matt?
I don't know if you'll know anything more about what's going on, but I'll do my best. Good to see you, Ryan.
You too. I'm sure I will, because that's just the way that it works. You enlighten me. I have so scatterbrained about all these different topics, but I want to start basically, is this going to be the week that we actually see Clyde do what I expect he's going to be best at and actually catch the ball?
I gotta think so. I mean, I think the Chiefs probably loved it. I mean, Andy Reid had to love it a little bit, getting out of that game and not showing too much of Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the pass game, because that's going to be a big part of what they do. I mean, it's just too many indications of it, too many signs of it that we saw during training camp and things that that leaked out. This guy's going to get the football, and when he does, I mean, you saw in limited opportunities on Thursday as far as just getting the ball to him in space, what can happen, just even in the run game. So when that happens in the pass game, I mean, I think the Chiefs are just drooling over that possibility. And the fact that they didn't have to show it to a degree, I think maybe they'd love to not have to show it in week 2 and be able to whip it out on the Ravens a week after that. But yeah, I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire eventually is going to be a huge part of this offense when it comes to the pass game. Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to that, because I was a little surprised at how much of an emphasis they put on the run early. When we heard Andy say that was their plan, was that to like trying to get him all of his missed preseason snaps all at once and get Clyde really clicking, or was that just the way the game fell?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, early on, you saw him get the ball a lot early, and that was certainly part of the game plan, trying to get the butterflies out, let him get into the flow of the game. And yeah, I think that part of that was simply, that since he didn't get to get hit, getting that preseason action, I mean, this was a way for a young guy who's never played in the NFL to get used to the speed and really, kind of get into the flow and understand what he's got to do. And then as the game proceeded, I mean, with the Chiefs with the big lead, then it became just a part of milking the clock and running things down and kind of trying to control the ball. And they went back to the run for that purpose. You got to see a little bit of everything. I mean, as far as the run game goes in that standpoint, and the fact that the Chiefs were willing to give him that many touches on the ground, I mean, it shows that, to me, this is not last year's Chiefs run game, where you had no one that the Chiefs trusted to be able to take on a full load running back. And this year they've got that guy. I mean, Edwards-Helaire can be their workhorse, and you saw on Thursday that he's up to handling that.
I love that. I would like to see, I don't expect the 50-50 split, but if they could stay above 40, I would love it. It also gets Anthony Sherman on the field, so that's just an extra bonus for me. But the one thing it didn't do is produce in the short yardage game. And I think that's an issue. Do you see that more of, again, just early season trying to come together, get your timing down? Or is it still, despite Assembly's presence, who I think was more powerful, they're still not getting that push off the ball?
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, with Andy Reid's offense, you can go back a while and point to this team not being great in short yardage power run situations. That's not a new problem. Right. I mean, there's a reason why Hungry Pig Wright existed. I mean, because the Chiefs have not been able to power run the ball up the middle in short yardage situations. And so the fact that Edwards-Helaire didn't have any success doing that on Thursday, it's not necessarily on him, because some of it's on the offensive line, but part of that just the way that the offensive line is constructed. They've got a guy in Kelechi Osemele that I think that they could run behind in those situations, but the Chiefs' success in short yardage, look at the Super Bowl, look at everything else, it's doing everything but the power run. It's throwing, it's the shovel pass, it's Andy Reid's bag of tricks, anything. Even look at how they scored the touchdown on the pass to Sammy Watkins. I mean, that was a variation, frankly, of Hungry Pig Wright. Yep. It's those creative ways. So the fact that the Chiefs, struggle in, say, a 4th and 1 traditional goal line situation, I don't think it's a reason of concern, because Andy Reid's got about 300 different other ways to get into the end zone. And with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he's been much more successful with that, because Mahomes can do a lot of different stuff, and he's got the talent and the tools around him. So I don't think that's a huge thing. I mean, even their one successful power run was to Anthony Sherman.
Yes, it was.
Which, once again, is outside the box. It's not what anybody was expecting. So the Chiefs are at their best in short yardage when they do the unexpected. So hey, maybe that means at some point that, that will make the traditional run more successful. If they go behind Osimile, maybe that will make it more successful. They'll probably go with, some 6 lineman fronts, those kind of things to try and make it work. But yeah, Andy Reid can score in 1,300 different other ways at short yardage. So I don't think there's any reason to be concerned.
As long as they get it done, they get it done. That's my only concern. I don't want to see Patrick take unnecessary hits like that option that they had to do in the Super Bowl. I don't want to see that again ever.
Didn't see any quarterback sneaks there at the goal line either.
No, you did not. That's a very good point. And and it's not the only thing. There's areas to work on. This is despite being a Super Bowl champion, there's always something to work on. And one thing that I'm really keen to get your take on, I thought they did a lot of experimentation, as we talked about on Locked On Chiefs earlier this week. A lot of experimentation in the secondary. I came away feeling like it's, even if they're without Ward, certainly if they have him, I feel comfortable with what we saw on the outside. Between Fenton and Snead, I think they can get it covered. My concern is the nickel. I was not very impressed with what we saw Hamilton do. I'm not very surprised by that. And I'm trying to figure out, is it my bias that I didn't think he was a very good man defender before, or am I missing something?
No, I think you make a solid point there, and it is going to be more challenging when the Chiefs see some receiving cores that have some bigger threats in the slot. I mean, the Chiefs kind of survived last week, with what they had, because honestly, the Texans didn't put up much of a fight there. I mean, they didn't really, they don't really have the weapons that they once had. Maybe they're going to be good. Maybe we don't know, but right now, I mean, the Texans didn't look very good. And the Chiefs do that to themselves, or the Texans do it to themselves. We'll find out, but even though I think that the defense played better than I anticipated, and especially the secondary, I still don't think that Steve Spagnuolo knows what he has. And that's why we're seeing a lot of movement, a lot of mixing and matching, guys in different spots, because Spagnuolo and Sam Edison, Dave Merritt, they're trying to figure out who's the best guy in each place. And that goes to the outside, goes to the inside. And, last year they spent 8 weeks doing that. I don't think it's going to take them 8 weeks to figure out their best rotations this time around. But yeah, I mean, he's trying to figure out, who can play the Kendall Fuller role, who can play the slot role, who can, line up opposite of Tyrann Mathieu. The expectation is that it's not going to be just one guy that replaces Kendall Fuller, that it's going to be a guy, multiple guys filling those roles. And he's got to figure out what he's got before Bashaud Breeland comes back. So that's going to change the mix too. So this first month of the season, I fully expected that you're going to see a lot of experimentation in the cornerback spot specifically, but the defensive secondary as a whole, I mean, trying to figure out what they've got as Thornhill comes back and working some of these safeties in. They've got some new faces there too. So there's a lot of different options that right now they're just trying to see which pieces fit together the best.
Yeah. One guy that went under the radar, I thought Tedrick Thompson put in some decent snaps. We saw him peppered in a little bit early. He definitely got time late as well. He seems like a viable option to me. Do you have any reason not to feel that way?
No, I kind of agree. I mean, and certainly at this point, it seems that they've got Juan Thornhill on a pitch count as far as how many snaps he's going to see. I don't expect that to change in week 2. I mean, I think they're going to allow his snap count to, go up steadily. So you will see him getting closer and closer to a full workload. But in the meantime, yeah, you're going to see Tedrick Thompson working in there. You're going to see, Dan Sorensen doing his typical stuff. So outside really of Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, there wasn't anybody, playing a full workload on defense last week, and especially after the Ward injury. So you're seeing a lot of rotation across the board on that defense right now. And once again, I mean, it circles back to everything that without the preseason, I mean, Steve Spagnuolo is trying to still figure out what he's got.
Yeah. Last question, and I swear I'll let you go. Can the linebacker core get better play without Willie getting onto the field and using his athleticism?
It needs to, because that was not a strength on Thursday. And I still think that that's just because linebacker, I think, is just the one position affected the most by not having a preseason, not being able to play full speed, and not getting the contact. Because I thought linebacker play just across the league looked bad. I mean, Texans have some pretty good linebackers, and I thought they had some rough moments too. So I just think that's a rough position. But Gay's going to be as a question mark. I mean, the fact that we didn't see him at all on Thursday, it raises my eyebrows. I don't know if that's simply just schematic, that we're going to see him more against certain types of offenses. But yeah, I mean, you've got to think that Willie Gay at some point is going to bring something different to this defense that it doesn't currently have. Because right now it's got some guys who might be relatively fundamentally sound, but they're not huge athletes. They're not speedy guys. And Gay's got that. And I think he's got some aggressiveness too that he can add to that defense.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. And folks, we're going to check back in with Matt once we get post game for the Chargers. So thanks for all the time this week, Matt.
Absolutely, Ryan. Good talking to you.
Have a good one, folks. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.